I need some.
Your eyes in that background picture. So who are you and what do people know you for?
Well, I am Amelia Wall. I guess a lot of people know me as that buff girl in high school that was always eating chicken in class, or they know me for the girl that was supposed to be one of the youngest figure pros and didn't. I guess who I am and who you think I am might be different things, so yeah. I kind of grew up with my mom going to gyms and having like a real personal trainer, and she constantly had like a six-pack and veins and drinking protein shakes, and I was like, man, I want to look like that. And so that's really when the curiosity struck. I didn't have any friends. I actually always joke that the reason why I have a personality is because I was a fat kid, and so I had to like develop that. 5th grade that I started looking up, still one of my favorite fitness models, Jamie Eason was my hero, and I remember I messaged her and told her what an inspiration she was, and fitness was completely underground at this point in time. I probably developed like somewhat of an obsession. I remember I came back into 6th grade and people thought I had transferred from a different school. People didn't know who I was, and so that attention, you know, felt really good, and I had a really hard time the year previous. And so I got my first trainer at the YMCA. I remember I wanted to be just so hardcore, and this thing in fitness wasn't a thing that anyone wanted to do. I remember kids were going to the YMCA just to like talk to boys or girls or whatever. I was there drenched in sweat, not trying to look cute. I was spending like 3 or 4 hours at the gym at a time. I wanted it. You know, people would tell me like, hey, you kind of need to leave now. You've been here for a while. But so really from the very beginning, I remember whenever I could see my first like ab definition, and I posted it, and like people were noticing and all these things. And it just, I think at that time, especially in a young woman's life, whenever you're 15, 14, you need a source of confidence. And I was just eating it up. And you know, Kate invited me to train with her and her trainer. And I remember my first arm day, the next day I thought something was wrong with me, like sore, all these things. At this point in time I was like 16, 17. And so I started training with them regularly, and I started kind of like seeing results fairly quick once I got into that style of training that was like actual bodybuilder intensity, something I've never experienced before. My dad would like walk in, and I was running before school at 4:30 a.m. and he would walk in and be like, Amelia, you remind me of me whenever I was wrestling. Like, I'm so proud of you. Like, you're my daughter. Ryan, my trainer at the time, was like, hey, Amelia, you need to do a show. You should do figures. So I did, and things went really well. Ended up getting on stage. I remember being back there shaking. I got up there and I was just like, Amelia, just don't look like an idiot, just blend in, just don't fall. And I ended up winning that class, and I bawled on stage. I cried so hard. I just remember it felt like I was finally like good at something. And then my coach came and got me and was like, he never shows any emotion, and he did, and he took me in, and he had tears in his eyes, and he was like, you can't cry, don't cry, you have to go back out there, you could really win this whole thing. And I was just like, no way. I was just trying not to look stupid, and I went on stage and I ended up winning the entire class. I ended up winning overall my first show. I was 17, or no, I had just turned 18 a month prior. And my mom, she came backstage after I won, and we just hugged for like 5 minutes and cried, and the whole room was just watching us. And I remember like everyone coming up to me and being like, wow, that's what this sport is about. Okay, can I just clean up my face for a second?
Yeah, fine.
So obviously vulnerability is hard for me. I think that's the first time that I felt not mediocre, and I felt special. And people were coming up to me and telling me I was gonna be something, and I was gonna like do something and all these things, and I was just like addicted to that attention. 17, 18 years old, I decided, yeah, I'm fucking going all the way with this, like pro card, like I'm getting it. I decided that that was gonna be my life. So things just started getting really intense. I I started progressing quickly. I started getting a lot of attention on the internet. So I had a lot of big names reach out to me. This is whenever Instagram was first starting. Okay, this is nearly like, how long is it? So Instagram, 5 or 6.
Yeah. Mention your old Instagram too.
Okay, yeah, so my old Instagram, before I deleted it, I had nearly like 10K followers, which for back in the day, you know, that's pretty decent. Within the bodybuilding community, I think I was just so young that websites began taking my photos and posting them on their site. And I remember my mom told me like, hey, people are talking about you on the internet and I don't really like what they're saying. So then I Googled my name and I found this website and I looked at comments, and some were really encouraging and some were really fucking mean. There's still one comment that is burned into my memory forever. Under one of my photos, I think they were arguing about whether I was natural or not, which I was, by the way, completely. It was just said like, oh, whatever, it doesn't matter if she's natural or not. She's probably just another flash in the pan. Like, she's gonna go away. I was like, damn, like, is that what's gonna happen? I appeared to be very confident, but in the inside, I wasn't, because you're 17, people are talking about things about you. It hurt, you know. I was already dealing with being in high school, and so now I have to like hear these people like saying like, oh, she's not even pretty, like look at her nose. Oh, she's not even like, what? Like look at her hair, like it's too big. Like, are you kidding me? This chick's ugly. Like, what do you guys even see? And I was reading all this stuff on the internet and just like, wow, and I found myself searching it and wanting to read more, and I didn't know why. And I don't think that they understood that there was a human behind the screen, you know? Especially like a young human. So I found my validation, strangers on the internet or judges on stage, and it truly got to me. It made my ego extremely fragile. And so I remember I was losing it. I'd been dieting for a year. I was about to go to teen nationals. I just won the Oklahoma at this point. I believe I was 19, and I was just going crazy. And I remember just eating and eating and eating and feeling so guilty and just having to get rid of it. So that's what I did, and I hadn't done that in years. Actually, bodybuilding kind of saved me from that, because I knew that I had to eat to compete, but I had to stay on a very strict diet. And so then once like I was going crazy and just eating, I began to make myself purge. It was scary, because I remember the first time I did that, actually it was scary that it wasn't scary, that I was used to it. So the first time I did that, I was 13 years old. I would just do it sporadically. It's not like I had an immense problem like stories that I've heard where I would do it like every day. But anyway, so that's not what I want this focus of the story to be. It became a real issue again whenever I was prepping for nationals in Pittsburgh. Well, I was in high school, all this was happening, and I was just going crazy, and I just walked in and I could see this was becoming a problem. I also, at this point in time, I kind of came out publicly, and it was kind of even 5 or 6 years ago, it was a different time. There was a big stigma. It wasn't that people would tell you that they wouldn't want to work with you if you were openly gay, but they just wouldn't contact you back. And then, you know, I was having a lot of issues with like, I was coming out in a super like southern town, Oklahoma, great people. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. It's extremely conservative. Like, people were not responding very well. It was super awkward in my gym. Like, nobody knew what to say to me. I didn't feel welcome. I mean, some people were really cool. I have to point that out. Like, you know who you are. And so I just walked into the gym and I was pissed, and I just said, you know what, I'm retired. And there was one day where my mom was like, hey Amelia, like get in the closet, I guess there's gonna be a tornado. And it sounds really casual, but like we're used to tornadoes, like one's never hit us before. You know, all the TV shut off and there's this eerie silence. Feels like it is 3 hours, whenever in reality it's about 10 minutes. A tornado goes over our house. I can hear trees ripping from the ground. My mom, who is not particularly religious, is praying to Jesus, screaming out loud. She's very petite, so I'm just gonna like put my body over her if debris falls over us. And basically I was like, didn't know if I was gonna come out alive or not, and it left me with a lot of trauma. Actually, I had some PTSD that I had to confront through like therapy and stuff. So I gained like 30 or 40 pounds, like something crazy. My metabolism was shot. I was depressed. All this was happening. I just wanted to get out. I didn't realize this was completely the reason why I left my hometown, but I just left and I followed the person I was in a relationship with up north, you know, like 1,000 miles away from my home, and I was lost. I was only 19 years old. We were doing fine out there for a while, but then like things got different, and we were both out of a job, and my dad's my best friend, but was very trying to teach me a lesson at this point in time, so he made me stay out there for 3 more months and just kind of like do what I could to survive. So then I come back home, don't know what the hell I'm gonna do with my life, like, and I just thought like, no, like fitness is gonna be my career. Like, what are you talking about? Like college, I guess, as a backup plan, maybe. So I just started selling gym memberships, and I was terrible at sales, like infamously terrible. And it's because I'm not that type of person that can like convince something of something that I don't believe in. I will almost always end up blatantly talking somebody out of a product that I don't believe in the sales jobs that I've had. It's kind of ridiculous, actually. I kind of got a little bit older, and I was involved with a person that was extremely toxic. Kind of broke me down to one of my lowest points. It was actually a blessing in disguise. Like, while this person, if they did anything, they broke me down to my rock bottom, to where I would have to learn to love myself. I need to love myself. I need to take care of myself. You know what? You are worthy. And that helped me like get out of that situation. Fitness has saved my life probably 4 different times. I fell down 10 times and I got up 11. So, you know, I changed my perspective completely over time. I was no longer punishing myself through fitness. I was loving myself through fitness, and I was fueling my body with the right nutrients and being active and appreciating that and loving what my body could do. And not only was I mentally better, I was in the best physical shape of my life. I love training again. That's really kind of like my story and the catalyst of my vision for fitness and for people. And whatever you're going through, your story might be different than mine, but that's why I feel like I can relate to my clients a lot. They might see me and say like, oh, you used to compete, or oh, you look a certain way now. I bet you don't understand what I'm going through. You just don't get it. You just don't get why I can't stop binging. Just trust me. I've been there and back, and I get it. And that's why I tell my clients to have grace with themselves, because you're not gonna get anywhere doing this or punishing yourself out of guilt. You're gonna get somewhere pursuing your fitness because you know that you deserve it, and having a lot of forgiveness and just knowing that you're worthy of taking care of yourself. I just want to give people the gift, you know, that I had that saved my life. So I'm here to change lives and change mine in the process. And I want people to know that there is more depth to me than you thought you knew.